He sat alone on a park bench that evening, the weight of his life pressing down so heavily that he could hardly breathe. His hands trembled as he stared at the ground, his mind filled with thoughts he never thought he'd carry. He had lost his job, lost his home, and in many ways, lost his hope. The world felt empty, silent, and unforgiving. He whispered to himself, maybe it would be easier, if I just stopped trying. At that very moment, a small sound interrupted his dark thoughts, the laughter of children playing nearby. He looked up just slightly, not wanting to care, not wanting to see life continuing around him while his own felt broken. And yet, his eyes landed on a little girl, no more than 6 years old, sitting cross-legged on the grass with a notebook in her lap. She wasn't running around with the others, instead, she was drawing, her little hands moving quickly as if the picture in her heart couldn't wait to come alive. A few minutes later, the child stood up, clutching her paper, and walked straight toward him. He was startled. Why would she come to him? Of all people, she stopped right in front of the bench and, without saying a word, she held out her drawing. Confused, he hesitated, but slowly took it. On the paper was a picture of a man sitting on a bench just like him. Above the man, she had drawn a big, bright sun and a sky full of colorful birds. And right beside the man, she had scribbled in shaky letters, "You are not alone." Tears welled up in his eyes before he could stop them. His lips trembled, and he asked softly, "Why did you give this to me?" The little girl smiled, a smile so pure and innocent it pierced right through the darkness in his chest. She shrugged and said, "Because you look sad, and my teacher says when someone looks sad, we should remind them that the sun still shines." And just like that, she skipped away, leaving him clutching the crayon-colored paper like it was the most precious treasure in the world. That night, he sat in the shelter where he was staying, staring at the drawing again and again. Something about those uneven letters, about that little sun and those crooked birds, reminded him of something he had forgotten, that even in the darkest moments, life still holds small, unexpected gifts. A stranger's kindness. A child's simple wisdom. Hope in the form of colors on a piece of paper. He realized then that he wasn't ready to give up, not yet. Because if a child believed he was not alone, maybe he truly wasn't. Years later, when his life had changed and hope had returned, when he had rebuilt himself, step by step he framed that drawing and placed it on his wall. Every time he looked at it, he remembered that evening in the park, and the small hand that gave him back his will to live. Sometimes, grace doesn't come in grand miracles. Sometimes, it comes quietly, through the kindness of a child's heart and the strokes of a crayon. So if you are listening right now, and you're tired, and you feel like giving up, remember this: even when the world feels empty, there is still light waiting for you. Sometimes, all it takes is one act of unexpected kindness to remind you that you are not alone.